told my wife she isn't getting a new car just because I puked blood in it. Now she won't talk to me. So backstory, I recently got my tonsils removed and a deviated septum fixed. The surgery was last Friday. Later Saturday afternoon I started bleeding really bad and we had to go to a hospital an hour away to get it fixed. About 10 minutes from the hospital I pass out for 10 to 15 seconds and wake up covered in blood that I puked everywhere in the car. After I puked I felt fine and everything went normal afterwards, and I've been on the mend for a week now. Yesterday she told me how she hates driving her car now and that it gives her too much anxiety and she wants to trade it in. We owe $9,000 on this car still and its trade-in value is nowhere near that, so I tell her no, we cannot trade it in. She then proceeds to say that I don't care about her anxiety, which in this case her anxiety is trying to cost us $9,000 plus the price of a new car, so I tell her yes, I don't care in this case. I later apologized for how I said what I said and told her I do care about her anxiety, but we cannot trade the car, so we need to figure out a different way to get her over the events. She won't talk to me now and thinks that leaving me to fend for myself with my meds is a punishment. Am I really in the wrong here, or is my logic sound and she just letting things get the better of her? The car is 99% cleaned up BTW, we just missed a few spots that we are getting cleaned this weekend. As this is relationship advice Reddit, I will assume that your goal is to get on the same page with your wife and to improve the relationship. If that's the case, you need to not be so focused on the thought I'm right, she's wrong, and start actually working through the problem with her. For example, look at the budget together. If you had to pay off this car and a new one, what would the budget look like? What sacrifices is she willing to make? Would she be willing to get a $2,000 car if that's all that could fit into the budget? What if she was willing to find a new source of income, probably a new job, to work out the budget? Or wait until the pandemic stuff is over and your family has more transportation needs? Saw that your car is in bad shape and is a manual transmission. However, if she really can't drive her car because of anxiety, hopefully she's willing to learn to drive a manual transmission and you could spend a little money on repairing the older car. Or, brainstorm ways to address her anxiety driving the car. Would it help to create new memories in the car? Would she be willing to see a therapist about her anxiety? If she isn't willing to brainstorm at all with you, it probably isn't about her anxiety, but hopefully the conversation will help her to acknowledge that without driving such a wedge between you and me against the problem. Maybe trade in for a used car, maybe downgrade. Honestly, if you can buy a car that expensive, you can probably figure something out. Does she have prior issues with either blood or vomit? I'm severely emetophobic, scared of vomit, and I can see myself having the same reaction as her honestly. Even if she didn't, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some PTSD element going on. I mean, she saw her husband pass out and throw up a ton of blood. She probably thought he was dead for whatever time he was passed out. That's gotta fuck with your head. Therapy also 99% cleaned up sounds like the kind of thing someone says when the car isn't actually completely restored. You take this car, she takes the other. Absolutely no need for a new car. Get it detailed if anything. Seems like it's more about mentally knowing what happened there than the actual mess. Get the car detailed. Or I don't know if you have a car, but if you do, you could switch. If it's really anxiety, she shouldn't have a problem driving your car. A proper, professional detail is going to be miles better than any normal clean you do yourself. I wouldn't trade a car in because of it, but I definitely feel squeamish about a car which had taken a bloodbath. I wouldn't drive it until a detail was done, and I don't even have a problem with blood. I wanna make my GF ribbon roses, but I feel cheap. Hey guys, first time posting, I'm gonna get straight to the point. I, 23F, wanna make my GF, 22F, some ribbon roses for her birthday, as I have tons of ribbon, craft supplies, and because I'm also broke and can't afford much else. I was thinking a bouquet of ribbon roses in her favorite color and chocolate covered strawberries plus a heartfelt card. I told my friend about what I was thinking of doing. He laughed and said I've been watching too many 5 minutes crafts and that no real adult would want such a cheap gift. Is this true? I have a hard time with social cues and such, so I'm scared I might be doing something quite childish without realizing. I know it's a basic gift, but I thought it was romantic, especially since I'd be putting so much effort in making the roses. Edit. Thank you to everyone who have commented. I didn't expect to get much attention, so I'm a little too overwhelmed with replying, but I have read everyone's comment. I'm really happy that everyone thinks the gift is a great idea, because I also thought it was. And I'm definitely taking the advice people gave. Make sure she likes roses. Different color roses mean different things, and don't listen to my friend. Her birthday's not until a couple of weeks, so I have plenty of time to get started on a special bouquet just for her. I don't really know what to do with the post now, as I've gotten my answer. I don't want to delete it, in case I come back to update, so I'm hoping a mod will lock it soon. Thank you again everyone. Your friend is a dick. Do what you want with the gift, because it is the thought that counts. If your girlfriend is a good person, she'll recognize that a gift is still a gift and acknowledge that your gift was made with love and care. I personally think handmade gifts are much better because you have to really love someone to commit time and energy into creating something specifically with them in mind. Best of luck. A bouquet of roses in her favorite color, check. Made of ribbon so they never wilt or ruin, check. My GF made this by hand for me, checkaroo. It takes more effort to make something than going to the store and buy flowers. Think it's a wonderful idea. I personally think that's really sweet and shows you went to great effort to do something special within your means. Not just that, but the ribbon roses will last forever. So sweet and romantic. As a 20-year-old Gaul, I'd absolutely adore that. I would love if my partner put time into making something. But everyone will be different, and only you know if they would feel the same, if they'd love the time you put in and so forth. How do I, 26F, tell my friend, 26F, that her sister, 24F, participated in my rape without losing the friendship? Britta, 26F, and I, 26F, have been friends since junior high, and her little sister Annie, 24F, used to hang out with us sometimes. Once we all left high school, I became friends with both of them independent from each other, though I've always been closer to Britta. We moved to the same city after college, so we still hang out all the time. She's been one of my closest, longest friendships and is genuinely a good person. She's sweet, funny, and always puts others ahead of herself. About 2 years ago, Annie and a guy friend of ours went out drinking, and the night ended in a threesome that was completely non-consensual on my part. They literally told me afterwards that when I turned them down initially, they decided to wait until I was drunker to convince me. They kept ordering rounds and I didn't realize I was the only one drinking until I was basically in a blackout. Then they took me home and raped me. It was horrible and has taken me years to reconcile what they did with the fact that I trusted them and considered them friends. I cut them both out of my life immediately after, but didn't want to start drama, so I mostly kept what had happened to myself. It helped that I was already planning on moving out of the state to my current city when it happened, so I was able to fully leave them behind. My relationship with Britta definitely suffered. Every time we hung out, she'd tell me all about Annie's boyfriend, now fiance, her work, and other stuff. I wanted to throw up every time Britta mentioned her, but I was scared to say anything because she was one of my only friends in the new city, and even if she weren't, Britta is important to me. But I definitely pulled away a little, just to avoid hearing all about the great life one of my rapists has been living after violating me. Last year I was going to tell her, but then their older sister Shirley, 29, died unexpectedly and tragically. Annie is her only sister left, and I know the two of them have been leaning on each other in the wake of Shirley's death. I felt like I couldn't do that to Britta and risk any sort of rift between the two of them when she needed family the most. I recently decided to finally go to the police and report the rape. I don't expect much to come of it, but I'm so tired of being the only one who has to live with the consequences of what they did. At least this way I'll know I did everything I could to hold them accountable. Because of this, I want to talk to Britta about what really happened between me and her baby sister. I want her to hear it from me before some detective calls her or Annie asking questions. I'm so scared to lose this friendship. I feel so guilty for the pain this is going to inevitably cause Britta, but it feels important that I be the one to tell her what's going on. How do I approach this? Do I sit her down for coffee and tell her? Do it over the phone? In an email? Should I go into this expecting the friendship to be over after? I honestly wouldn't blame her if she decides she has to cut me out to stand by her sister, but I want to do everything I can to avoid that. Any advice on how to approach this would be appreciated. Before I say my piece, I wanna say this: it might take her some time. Hell, you may not be able to remain friends at all, and I would note that as a very likely circumstance. Knowing that your only surviving sister whom you love dearly is actually a terrible person is heartbreaking to find out, at best. If she tries to pull that rape apologist shit and does not stop, it's probably best to know that this is not someone you need as a friend, regardless of how good she has been to you and how long you have been friends with her. Rape apologists are just about as bad as rapists are. Write a script. Sit down with her face to face. Not in a super public setting, like a coffee shop for instance, because her becoming agitated and a scene being created is very likely, and I highly doubt that you want the fact that you were raped blasted to a bunch of random people, especially since that'll give you no benefit and will just embarrass you to death. But, I would absolutely make a nice meal for the two of you. Just nothing public is all. Prepare your reactions for reactions that she might present you with. Make it known how much you value her and your friendship, and that you want to remain friends. Even though she is every horrible name under the sun, don't use insults when referring to her sister. She's terrible, but you have to remember this is her sister, and calling her sister names probably won't make her more likely to accept the reality of what happened to you / what your sister did to you and not cut you off. In fact, it'll make the cutting you off more likely. Try to stay as cool as you can, but remember that crying is fine. Talking about how you got raped is, no doubt, is deeply emotional. What I mean is, don't get angry at her, even if she gets angry at you. This is the best advice I have. I really hope everything goes well for you, love. I think you are in the correct track. As you said, she may distance for a while. Regardless of that, she'll eventually understand you did what you had to do. Warm hugs. I think you have to prepare yourself to lose your friend. She's already lost one sister and may want to protect the other at all costs. She might not be able to bring herself to believe you because of this. It's not your fault though, I hope you know that. I'm so sorry this happened to you and hope you find peace and can retain your friendship. Inviting her for a cough signals that you consider her your friend and you want to remain that way. Design the whole conversation, write it down. I value you and our friendship. I wish I would not have to tell you this. I understand you may believe what I'm going to say, or not. I won't blame you. This will cause you distress. I'm sorry, you don't need to say anything. Also, think what you want to avoid to say in case the conversation becomes agitated. You're just like her, you always were. Prepare your reactions and answers, in case you imagined that she wouldn't. She's a good person. If you hadn't get drunk, I kind of knew best. Yeah, I think you're right. A script is the way to go. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the advice. It strikes me that it could be worth investigating a little. I doubt people who think shit like that is okay only did it once. I hope that scum gets what they deserve. Same. Surely people that young don't do threesomes without talking it out or a bit of planning. They must have either spoken / planned and tried before to pull something like that. I have a hard time believing they both encouraged someone to be completely drunk, think it's fine and proceeding on that sole and only occasion.